What's up squad, I'm Caitlin and in this video I'm going to show you how we made my Huntress mask and also the little hatchet. To pattern out the mask we just used the glad wrap and tape method, which is pretty easy to do.
The glad wrap was like stuck to my one eyelid, so like my eyes. I'm just gonna close my eyes.
Basically what Ali's doing is she is putting the tape down to where the mask ends, and then she's also drawing on the features like the eyes, the nose and the eyebrows, so that when I take it off I can see where those features need to be. We also checked how big the ears had to be while the pattern was still on my head, as this made it a little bit easier. Then Ali just marked where the mask ended, and then all that was left to do was to free my head from this tape prison. Now that the pattern is cut out, I'm just marking a line straight down the center so that I can cut it in half. And I'm also going to be adding some darts just to make sure that the pieces lay flat. I actually ended up only using one half of the pattern and just mirroring it. You can do this if your pattern is the same on both sides. It makes it a little bit easier because it means that both sides are going to be identical. If you decide to do your pattern this way, just make sure that when you trace one side, the pattern's facing up and then you flip it over. For this part of the mask, I used 3mm foam from Lumen's workshop. I decided to use 3mm as it was sturdy enough but also flexible enough to be able to wrap around my head. Once the pieces were cut out, the first thing I did was glue the darts. I find it easier to glue any darts before I put together the full piece that I'm working on, because it's easier to do this when you're working with smaller pieces of foam. Next thing I did was glue the center seam. It's important if you're working with contact adhesive to put the glue on, wait until it gets tacky, and then attach your pieces. If you don't wait long enough, you won't get as clean of a seam because the glue won't be quite tacky yet. I then sanded the seams to make them nice and smooth, and as you can see I also weathered the bottom of the mask a little bit just to make it a bit more scraggly. For the ears I used 6mm foam because I wanted them to be nice and sturdy as they have to stand straight up from the mask. I sanded down and weathered the ears, particularly the half ear. I really made sure that the end was nice and weathered and jagged. To attach the ears, I'm just cutting rectangular holes in the top of the mask. This took a little bit of trial and error with figuring out how far in the ears had to go to make sure they were at the right angle, but we got there in the end and I got them to stand straight. To secure the ears, I just used a whole bunch of hot glue. No contact cement needed. Using some foam clay from Lumen's workshop, I'm just smoothing out the edge between the ears and the mask. So all I'm doing is using some water to attach the foam clay and then smoothing it out. I primed the mask using one coat of white Rust-Oleum paint, and then I just did a base coat of white acrylic paint. To dirty up the mask, the first thing I'm doing is taking a mixture of brown and black acrylic paint and mixing it with a whole bunch of water. This method of painting is really good because it gives your prop a look of dried mud. I did this in multiple different layers, sometimes using less black paint, less brown paint. Sometimes I added a bit less water for a bit of a thicker consistency. And doing this just really helps to texture your prop. I also went in with this spiky sponge and just sponged on some brown paint in areas where I wanted it to be more densely packed with mud. Next, it was time to add the blood. I'm going in with that spiky sponge again and just some red paint, and I'm just sponging on some blood and then going in with a paintbrush in the areas where I want it to be more red. I also added some drips of blood, just for fun. The last few things I had to do was just add the nose and the eyebrows, and we were done. Now it's time for the hatchet. Ali actually made this for me, so thanks bro, you're a real G. For the handle, she used one layer of 10mm foam and one layer of 6mm foam. Here she's also just using some contact cement to sandwich the two pieces of foam together. For the blade, because it needed to be a little bit thicker than the handle, she's using 2 layers of 10mm foam. She sanded down the 2 pieces. She used the belt sander for the blade because it was a little bit easier since the foam was so thick and it had to go down to a point. And then she just attached the 2 pieces together. And here's what she had so far. A con-safe axe that can kill some glue. Here she's just doing a layer of Mod Podge on the blade. We found that using Mod Podge as a primer actually gives you a much shinier finish once you paint it. Ali is also very good at color matching, so here she's just getting that perfect color for the handle. To create texture to the handle, because it's made of wood, she's just using a big brush with a very small amount of paint and also toothpicks to create the wood grain. For the blade, she's also using that spiky sponge and some black paint just to add some depth and shadows. Since we wanted the 2 props to match in look, she's also just adding some mud and also some blood. Again, just with that spiky sponge and also a brush just to add some blood splatters and some drips. She added blood to the handle and also to the blade, again, just for a bit of fun. We're super happy with how the hatchet turned out. As you can see, the blade is super shiny, the handle looks like wood, and the mud and the blood just really add to the psycho killer vibe. And there you have it. That's how we made the Huntress mask and hatchet from Dead by Daylight. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, let us know what your cos plans are in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!